Hey everybody, welcome back to X is for Show, your premier media response show. And man, do we have Rusic from all around the world, and we're going to make it all our own. And that means you could check us out at X is for Show, but me, NICO Action, NICOACTION.
Hi, I'm Jonah. You can follow me places at Peak Jonah.
And I'm TK. You can follow me at TK Elemental.
That makes me your producer, KEVO Really. You can find me at KEVO Really. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we know what you want us to cover in the future. But hey, buddy, happy anniversary.
That's
right. Happy anniversary, boys.
Happy wedding anniversary. 13 years wedded, 11 years legal, 18 years together in January. Yeah. And now here we are talking about too much Rusic. That is not the right one. We didn't change the script. Good job, guys.
Well, let me tell you that
Quick monologue while he changes it.
I actually had a great time with this episode, and part of it has to do with the fact that I'm not trying to sit here and be Stephen Joshua Sondheim's reincarnated spirit ghost man, but when you're asking me what a musical should be a celebration of story and song bound together by commonality, whether it's soundtrack or idea. And then there's other things. There's song cycles, which don't need so much story. They just kind of need like Tori Amos's Scarlet's Walk is nearly a song cycle, right? So sometimes when they use this term Rusical, what they really mean is some songs that are loosely connected by story, not a thing with a specific plot.
Your favorite Tori Amos album is a song cycle.
Oh my God, right. So Night of Hunters is a song cycle, legitimately. And then so when we get to some of these musicals, I'm like, nah, son, it's an original songs review. And this was an original songs review, but let me tell you, this was top of the pops. This was this was tops of the tops. Thought this was great. Well, I thought this was great. I have to go.
Also thought this was great. It was a really we're gonna get into it, but this is called a Rusical, but it's a little bit closer to the Baddest Bitches in Herstory, Divas Live VH1. Or what they did on UK vs. the World 2, I believe. No, the UK vs. the World 2 was the 6 parody.
Also, legitimately, Divas Live, just to your credit, the actual Divas Live, they would come out and sing each other's songs. So, act.
And the more so the point I want to make is that they're calling this the Rusical episode, but it's not specifically a Rusical. It's not a musical in any sense. There isn't a story, there isn't a plot. It's just, they're just doing something that they've done on live TV, and everyone's just kind of playing a character. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just we've expanded the definition of what we're defining as the Rusical, especially because this one was also sung live.
Oh, it's sung so well. Man, Relisa, I am here to sing a song for you. I'm here to write a song for you anytime, girl. I love your sultry. I'm gonna write you some beautiful Toni Braxton shit.
To quote my favorite shady queen, Miss Raja O'Hara, I'm not gagging.
Did you not love it?
I did not love it.
Okay, well, first of all, we'll talk about your wrong opinions in a minute.
Yeah, please.
But I do want to say this is like Eurovision, because later on we're going to one Mil Kalila add in Australia singing some songs from Rusicals, and we're going to have us a one Entertaining the Gods kind of night.
I will say I was gagging with the girls. The girls gave great performances. This Bollywood move you're committed to over the past week. I'm living for it, but yeah. The girls did a great job and really put in a lot of effort. I just really for one thing, I hated the lyrics so much to every single song. Because in the intelligence of what they had, I could see that they could have done so much better. And I hated this roundup, this person and I did this thing. I don't know. It felt so clumsy to listen to. And
that was literally Lindana. That was literally the tune of I'm Lindana and I wanna have fun. You would really enjoy Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. I'm going to send this while somebody else is talking. I have a great Instagram reel to send you guys.
Gabby, what did you think about this?
I am probably a little bit more toward TK's camp than not. I wasn't incredibly impressed. I liked huge parts of it, but I think we're also in such a weird space with Rusicals right now, where my original pitch for this cover had been just focused on UK with the headline of, "Is this a Rusical?" Because I don't know. I felt the same way. We all felt the same way about the Snatch Game Rusical in Global, and we felt the same way earlier this season, kind of with The Sound of Rusic, where it was that weird Eurovision thing. I don't know. I feel like the only real one we've had all year is Rosemary's Baby.
God, I can't think of the actor's name. He was married to Rebecca Gayheart. And was on
Eric Dane.
Thank you. The way Eric Dane must want to like literally kill Chris Carmack for having his character now on Grey's Anatomy. Sometimes when people get what I want,
you want to play Shirley Bassey?
I want to get on stage and I want to sing my heart out for George Michael. And so like I'll be honest, the George Michael was the one where I was like, no, I've spent the last 30 years perfecting my George Michael vocal impression. And that was basically Elvis again. So like, I'm sorry, you wanted me to talk, so I did. Also, Facebook user, it's just coming up Facebook user for me.
If you want to tell us your name, we want to celebrate you.
But I also
think
that's so sinister.
I think these are the comments that come through your page.
Ooh.
And there's a weird StreamYard thing because it's your page and not a public page. So yeah.
Well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's Andrew. Happy birthday,
Wait,
Andrew.
Are you on
no,
both?
Different ones. Andrew's Andrew, and then Facebook users.
Andrew. We're a mess, folks. Thanks for joining us.
Andrew.
It's my anniversary. Leave me alone. Oh, and wait, did we answer this? That yes, there was a Snatch Game Rusical?
There was a Snatch Game Rusical on Canada versus the World.
Oh, it was Canada versus the World, my bad.
Yes, I do think they were trying a lot of different things with Rusicals this year. I think The Sound of Rusic counts as a Rusical since it was supposed to. It was weird. I don't know if it's
what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It counts.
It wasn't it was a weird interpretation of the idea of Sound of Music, but it wasn't like a parody of specifically Sound of Music.
No, because like Wig Loose, same, agreed.
Anyway, point being, I think regardless of this being more typical of, oh my god, the zoom in. No, it's very funny. I think regardless of the typical idea of what we view a Rusical is, or what are we defining as, I do think I agree. I ultimately agree with the judges. I think this was such a strong episode for everybody, where everybody's performances were pretty top notch. I do think the bottom two makes sense, but I still think they had fantastic nights. And if there was a larger cast or put up against other people's performances in like other Rusicals, they didn't have the worst Rusical performance across as a contestant. They still did really good, and I imagine on another season they could have been safe.
Can we talk about the thing that RuPaul said about, one, how great everybody is, and two, to Actavia? Because I have thoughts.
Well, I just want to say first off, as an Actavia who is used to getting showered with unnecessary praise from excellent people, I feel like it was just about time beautiful people got attention again for just being special and not always being so talented. It's been a really long time since Ru let her unabashed, no, for real, I would pick this person and put them in my entourage even though they're not that talented, and maybe because they're not that talented, because I don't want them to shine more than me, even though I literally am on record as saying I think Actavia is finalist talented. I am on record as saying that this was a death blow for me. I was so sad, but I understood. I don't know. I love when a judge is just like, I don't care. You're unreasonably talented, and I'm going to sound unprofessional and praise you.
I personally, I feel like it was a moment of Ru kind of just being genuine. I think she put into words why I feel like I've seen a lot of people gravitate towards Octavia, myself included. I love that she goes into everything so earnestly. I think we saw it with the girl group challenge. I think we saw it with the acting. She really just kind of put her whole Octavia Ussi into it to really, I think she gives 110% to everything. And I think part of that is, far be it from me, the 27-year-old girl, 21 young, but I do think a lot of that comes from being this very energy-filled, sprightly young entertainer. And I think with like a year or two baked in of understanding how you can give different levels to a performance would really make her kind of rise and shine. I do think this was probably, if you were ever get eliminated on an episode, I think this was like an episode to get eliminated on, to have RuPaul tell you how much they love you, to have an amazing lip sync, to not really even do bad in the challenge at all, and at that point just splitting hairs because this week it was not the judges' favorites, and I will refrain from commenting on such thing because I don't wear wigs. And
wig, it's not for you.
It's not for me because I don't wear wigs.
It's for Octavia,
but well, it's not. I love this diva, and I hope she feels proud, and I hope she realizes like this is probably one of the best ways to get eliminated. If you had to be, I'm sure she.
All right, I'm gonna come shit on everything that everybody just said. No, I really do agree that one of the things that I ended this with was like, man, if I had to go home, best way to go home ever. And I'll work backwards from that. I do think that there was a degree. I got a lot. I've got a lot. I do think there was a real degree of trying to buy back some of the show's flavor and positivity, because this was really a great example of the point of the show is somebody has to go home every week. And a lot of times eliminations are not about like, you suck at this and you have to go. Queens often take their elimination that way, and I think that's a really personal thing, and that's a moment of real vulnerability and insecurity and weakness. And there are a lot of times where I really wish we could see Queens go out on a note of like, somebody had to go home this week. Like, I know I'm still amazing. A lot of times the show doesn't set you up for that. In editing, in whatever the challenge was, sometimes people really do fail, but this week gave you kind of a taste of what it's like to be, and that RuPaul said like, you are all so good that this is a really tough night. Like that is such a reminder that somebody's going home all the time no matter what. Last point, I also feel like that was part of the monologue to Octavia, because it was so stark that RuPaul stopped the show and the entire flow of it to repeatedly just say she loves this girl so much. I believe fully knowing she was sending her home, fully knowing that for Ru, she was in the bottom two, and unless Lil face planted, she was sending Octavia home. And I really do think part of it, I always flash back to the season 10 reunion, or maybe it's season 9, where they're talking and she's like, that's the name of the game. Like, we're going to do a challenge every week. If you do bad in the challenge, you're lip syncing. If you're lip syncing and you don't do well, you're going home. And it was really to just say, like, it's not that anybody is bad. It is that format wise, this is how the game is played. And I'm never, I'm not saying when somebody gets sent home, this is not the career for you. I'm saying you lost the challenge and you lost the lip sync and you went home. And this episode really felt like a reinforcement of all of that. And it's been a minute since we've done one of those. And I think sometimes fans get really lost in like, well, that girl went home, so she was clearly not one of the good ones. But these girls are all so good. What we've been saying for weeks is like, we're now at the point where it's going to be a gut punch every time somebody gets sent home because we love them all. And for me, Octavia was really a big one. I, like you, Nico, thought she was a top 4, at least, maybe a top 3. And for her to go home at this point, like, I in no way, I'm like, yeah, of course it's her because she's not that great. I'm like, wow, everybody is so good that we're getting to the point of like, wigs are the problem.
Which was the theme of this episode.
So yeah.
I have to break in because the reason I kept laughing was because as Mr. Julie Chen, Lester Moonvester once said, no matter what it is, the lowest rated reality show has to go, the lowest rated comedy has to go, and the lowest rated drama has to go. That means that 4 or 5 times CBS canceled a show that came in second in its time slot almost every week because it simply did not perform as well as other shows on CBS did. So that leads me to think about the fact that we don't have a questionable accountability for the way we eliminate people. Yeah, number one, thank you so much for the happy anniversary. Thank you. And it is nitpicking at this point because that is what you sort of wind up with. It's nitpicking, but it's nitpicking for arbitrary purpose. Like the thing is, someone has to go home. And you know, when they said in Down Under this week that last week was the first non-elimination in Down Under history, I had to really think about that. I've watched McLeod's Daughters. I've seen Neighbors. I had to really put in the thought there. And what I came up with was there is a certain level to which we expect kid gloves for larger casts. And I feel like even though the UK is quite literally the size of my friend Kev's boot, this is quite literally a overabundantly talented nation. This is a nation with so much art and so much ability, and I do think that UK gets a little more attention than Down Under does in that regard. Kevo, hit me.
I do want to warn you right now, I'm probably not going to watch McLeod's Daughters. Jonah.
Does me scrolling through Chris Hemsworth's Instagram count as my cultural osmosis into the Aussie field? This episode was so interesting. Also, I can't get it out of my head. You know, apropos of Kylie Minogue in this episode, that this lift was so successful, and I think of the girl group challenge when they tried to lift Zahira, and it just, I don't know what happened.
What's her name?
I love the joke of "That's all you got," where they did the tiny lift, and then they did the full lift. That was so fun. I need to bring this up. Lil is a fascinating creature that I adore and love. Her pulling out Geri Halliwell in Sex and the City, the movie, and doing an amazing impression of that was the funniest thing in the entire world. It's so fascinating because I feel like in the confessionals, maybe she feels a little more comfortable, but it comes across in a way of like, she is so personable, so charismatic, so funny, so hysterical. And then sometimes in these performance challenges, I feel like she gets a little in her head.
Well, and I want to build on that because I don't know if you guys remember, but when Lil played Emily Valentine on 90210, her character was specifically going through so much. And I'm making a joke, but the thing that I think Lil is the most successful at of almost any girl in like Drag Race history, I believe her insecurities are born of people took her light from her, and she shines through that darkness. Like there are girls that are maybe even on this season that look, I have never been through the things that many of these girls have survived and been strong enough to talk about on TV. I've tried to talk about my own, victimhood and what, but there are things that these girls have been through that I can't even imagine. And the walls they must have built up, they're so powerful and beautiful. And I'm so proud of these girls for decorating those walls. But also the drag delusion has started to become drag castles and drag kingdoms. And like the delusion extends so far, sometimes the girls no longer seem human. And there is no amount of this is to hide insecurities that make you seem human anymore. Lil seems so human. I'm not sure they should have cast her. I worry about her. She's like a Cabbage Patch Kid with like super awesome 80s hair.
Lil is almost starting to frustrate me at this point.
Go home! I'm sorry.
No, because I love her so much. She was like my top one. And she's 35. I don't know if I have observed her say how long she's been doing drag, but I just wish if she was applying to do this show, she had gone in for a dance class and like had just done a little more karaoke or just something to just like, I don't worry about singing if asked to, and if I have to dance, I'm not petrified.
Right.
She was Whitney Houston scared of being asked to do choreography.
Yeah, and that's a little too much for me. I am going to hold a standard here, and I might have ribbed her a little bit for that as a judge. I was actually pretty surprised that she didn't go home this week, just because this is the second time we've experienced this issue, and everybody loves to say, you don't want to take a sewing class? But like, dance classes are easier to find in this world than sewing classes. And I just like, again, like they are, come on. I know how to find 3 dance classes in the city of Portland, Maine.
Okay,
and
what can't you find on YouTube in
That's
some
the
kind
one.
of tutorial form?
Sure.
And no one's expecting you to have some sort of like certificate.
Yeah,
or,
no.
Like,
And I don't even expect her to be a good dancer. I just expect that being told you're gonna dance is like, okay, like I'm not a dancer, but I'm good. Like I can do a 2-step. I can absorb, because the other thing is some of it is like how do you absorb the instruction? Like if you've never been given instruction in something, it is sort of paralyzing to be like, I don't even know how to be told how to do a 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you've heard
6,
it,
7, 8, it counts.
I don't know what a box
Why-
set is either.
a
We're
lot
gonna
of
get to
these
that.
girls come into the workroom and they frame it as, I'm not putting on airs, I'm here to 100% be myself. And no one wants you to not be yourself. We just want to be the version of you that knows how to sew a garment and know what a box step is.
Yeah.
Perhaps from High School Musical.
yes.
I don't know. But literally, like, it feels like they want to come in with none of the skills that it takes to do this at this high competitive level. And then are like, why am I being judged like this? Because of the last 20 years of the franchise.
And to her credit, she never was like, you know, she took her lick. She knew she wasn't going to be great, and she went with it. But I'm just like, her looks are so good. She has so much personality. There's so much that she clearly can do. I adore her. And so I'm just like, baby girl, sewing class, you know, dancing class. Yes, you can find sewing classes at every Joanne Fabric. It's very true. Thank you, Shirley OG.
I feel like this was like a little insight into, because I think Lil was, and some of them were nervous about, you know, you're singing live, you're doing choreo, you're asked to do a lot. This is they're essentially doing musical theater. You know, we talk about this being a Rusical, and there is aspects of musical theater in this as opposed to being Rusical. But I do think, you know, in the workroom, she was like, I just want to get this over with. And I think sometimes you never want to tell people when they're having anxious moments or anxiety or whatever, when they're down, you have to think more positively. But unfortunately, one of the ways to be able to overcome a lot of it is to change how you view and how you think. Having a positive mental attitude about things is how you're able to overcome a lot of challenges and obstacles. That being said, she still did great. She still did fantastic. She was also part of the entire thing, which they kept adding the girls like one by one afterwards to like do all of the numbers. So like Lavoie, God bless her, earned this win because she was on stage the entire time, similar to Lil.
Would you mind if I actually just real quick, Cilla Black was Lil, Shirley Bassey was Lavoie, Sir Elton John was Marmalade, and I can't wait to get into that cake topper. Elton John was Kyron Thrax. Geri Halliwell, nobody played Geri Halliwell, but Octavia got on stage and screamed. Adele was played
on the dress.
by the leader of the Cult Jam, Lisa, and Kylie Minogue was Charity.
Quick correction, Kyron Thrax was Boy George.
George Michael.
George Michael, sorry. You said Elton John.
No, Marmalade was Elton John.
Yeah.
But so I
look it up. I don't care.
We're not fact checking on this show anymore.
So one of the things that I specifically thought was kind of like important to think about was some of these girls, not only did they not know their own girl, I doubt they knew the other girls.
It was also just a dark moment in my aging process to realize Kyron Thrax was born after Princess Diana had died.
Oh, I know. Those are
and
hitting hard.
Just sort of talked about her the way people talk about Queen Elizabeth I. This ancient hero she heard of from times past.
At no point did Marmalade start to sing to Princess Di. You would think that Marmalade would have broken out to herself.
First off, I don't know if she has a name for her fans. I'm going to call us the Jammers. Us Jammers. We hopefully next week this girl, this beautiful talented person can get a win, because goddamn I want her to get a win so bad. I thought she did so amazing this episode. I do think I got this because she was just feeling herself. It was so fun. This person who is 24 and is just so much more talented than me in like almost every facet. That's true for everybody who's on stage. They're way more talented than me in every facet. I just kind of adore her. I adore her.
I'd like to see them work some traction power.
Well, yeah, in terms of entertainment purposes, we'll say it that way. Because I don't know if any of these girls could do CAD, but that might surprise me. I loved her runway this week. I love that Rue was like, "Who made this dress?" And Marlon just with me. And literally, like, as you said, TK, like, Rue was just kind of full of breaking moments, because as Marmalade's leaving the runway, Rue just goes, "I love that dress." Like, there wasn't a joke, it wasn't a quip. That was just Rue just being like, "I love that dress." This diva,
she's sundowning.
This queen honestly deserves everything. She's won my heart. She's won the people. I just hope she gets a win. I do think her Elton John costume was sabotage. That thing was all over the place in her face.
If they get to the point where Meredith gets diagnosed with Alzheimer's, can the episode be called "Don't Let the Sun Go Down"?
I mean, like, that's probably going to be what the finale is called either way.
They use sundowning as a metaphor so much, and I'm only laughing so much because immediately my thought was, she could have done that as Elton John!
Yes. Realistically, the person who's singing that song is LaVoix, but yeah.
Or George Michael. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John!
She wore it. I mean, she figured it out. I felt bad for her in terms of like, wow, that must be a challenge. But I also was like, man, they gave you a fucking albatross around your neck and you made it work.
She had to run around that stage.
Yeah.
She worked for her safe position, because I think this was like one of the hardest roles to probably do with that costume, with the choreo they gave her, to sing live, to hit the notes the way she did.
I do kind of think I felt like it was her win. I felt like if Actavia is getting knocked down for not having her Jerryisms down, which Graham's point was true. She gave more effort than Geri ever would have. But I was like, she doesn't know who Geri is. She's not going to get this at all. When the performance time actually came, she had a surprising amount of, as somebody who has seen so many Spice Girls live performances, she had a surprising amount of Geri in it. And before you go, I
agree with you.
Okay. I felt like LaVoix had a generic Dame crooner, but I did not get Shirley Bassey to such a degree that I would have given her the win. I would have given it. It's not at all that it was bad. I just felt like it was a couple notches above generic. That's maybe not even nice enough. I guess I just thought Marmalade gave more. Like, again, it's a 98 versus a 96.
I want to comment that I think the Actavia actually all was in, whether or not you're a big Geri Halliwell deep cut fan. They're referencing Mi Chica Latina, which was the second single off of Schizophonic, which was her first solo album. So the whole I Can Rap in Spanish is also a little bit of reference to If You Can't Dance from Spice. So like there is a ton of stuff. But to that point, I actually think Elton John is unique to recreate. You go to the like you have to like get the big and the loud, and the Marmalade never did that for me, though she had the presence for me. Shirley Bassey is the thing that all of those generic people are copying. Every time there's a Zara doing Get Him Back, she's just doing Shirley Bassey. every time somebody thinks that Amy Winehouse is one of a kind in a generation, it's because she's doing the best Shirley Bassey you've ever seen. And like, I think that what Lavoie did, like, I genuinely believe I would spend more money to see Lavoie than just about any queen otherwise. I think she is amazing. I thought this was a great Shirley Bassey. And I feel so bad because I'm picking on Kyron Thrax, and I'm not. It's that joke I was making earlier this episode. I'm just jealous. But to hear Rue, somebody who I'm pretty sure knew George Michael personally, say that was dead on. The makeup is brilliant. The outfit is brilliant. The vocal performance, what a great vocal performance of this person and not George Michael. George Michael is famous for having this incredibly smooth, incredibly silky voice. His voice is very jazzy. It's very sultry. This was not a sultry vocal. And even if you go for his brighter timbre and you think about like later stuff like the verses on Outside, or maybe even the lyrical style of Jesus to a Child, you're still looking at a vocalist. I'm getting maybe a little too George Michael.
I was going to say, I think those cuts are a little deep. I would even say like this was trying to do Faith, but even Faith is a little silky.
Look, Yag is my hero. Okay,
I'm trying to do cuts that aren't that deep. I think even like referencing something like Faith, which is a little more Michael Jackson-y.
Limp Bizkit song?
I'm gonna slap you across the face.
You must mean Faith, the George Michael song. Now I know. Sorry.
You mean
Faith
the
Evans?
sister from Buffy?
The sister from Buffy. This
Gotta
kid
go.
thinks she's Dawn.
Go KMS. Bye.
Oops. Wrong character. I used to set the series right.
Deep Cut,
I hear what you're
the song
saying.
by George Michael is actually called Freedom 90 because Wham had a song called Freedom. So the song Freedom by George Michael is actually the song by Wham. If you look it up, Freedom 90 is the one that sounds like Aretha Franklin's Freedom.
And that even like that is kind of that's a good example of a song that you think of as being really kind of boisterous and a little like nasty, but it's actually a lot more sultry than you think it is. And his performance is that. And you know, like Octavia, like Kyron, when it comes to Princess Di, they don't know. They were not born. They were not there. And that is, of course,
They don't know Lisa E.
I mean, they don't. Like, that's okay. Like,
Well, can I pose the question then? Is that a challenge we should be doing? Is this maybe a little bit too dated? I
like Rue's belief that everybody should have the knowledge base, and if you don't, it's not the worst thing ever if you suffer for it. We're maybe getting, for the children of today, a little obscure at Geri and George Michael. Maybe not George Michael even, maybe just Geri, because George Michael, pretty iconic for the gays, if you want to know your gay pop culture history. Geri as a part of...
UK conservatives love Geri.
Yes. As part of the Spice Girls, Geri is obviously, a UK queer pop icon, and I think everybody generically knows the Spice Girls. Getting Geri specifically, which is again why I'm like, Octavia actually did shockingly well, given that I don't think that came from having seen a lot of Geri personally. I think it probably came from like catching a little bit of Spice Girls, on just like
an Olympics thing.
Spice World
I also
once on
think
HBO.
They were going for as most culturally pop known people as they could.
Yeah.
Because they even have at the end of the show, they have the little thanks of how many people.
Yeah, all the other
amazing UK vocalists and musicians.
Yeah. But like I'm not sure why it was Geri they picked specifically. Like even Victoria as an icon of British pop culture, I think is maybe at this point the most well known. Not really as a performer, but as a personality. I don't know who you would pick from the Spice Girls, but I just remember
maybe because she was on the Circle.
Emma Bunton
kids
did,
know about that.
and she had the most British pop hits. Nico,
You know, it's Nathan.
definitely does not watch our Drag Race coverage.
Oh, just so. I think the thing that I would point
This is
to
just seltzer.
is that
It's a set, Rue.
Broom. I do think it has to be Emma because she has maybe Freemy and a few others, but if somebody could give her a serious run for their money, it would probably be Mel C. Who's had such an incredible career overseas, throughout the UK. Oh, Geri did do It's Amazing, It's Raining Men. Honestly, not enough people give credit to the incredible video for Look at Me. Look at Me is a great single. Look at Me is a great video. That whole album
Maybe is a
isn't
great
bad.
video.
I also wonder. I was trying to think of who else you might give this to. I don't know if the kids today know her. I was thinking Billie Piper.
So she was in the list of names that scrolled across.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, so many people, but like I wouldn't have given it to Sophie Ellis Bextor.
My goddess, Rena.
She was only on there because of Bath Fucker. I love her, and I think she's great. But
I was like, wait, do you mean Saltburn?
I think actually, if you wanted to
Saltwater?
go with someone
Bath
slightly
Boy.
more contemporary that people may be a little more familiar with, like do Jade from Little Mix or any of the Little Mix girls.
Oh,
yeah.
Who's that lady? That Cheryl. We could have done Cheryl.
They're not doing Cheryl.
No, they could have. The
only Cheryl is Ches coming back to choreograph this for them.
Yes.
That is all. That is all we're doing.
I don't know. Geri was so weird. I was excited about it, but then I realized that like probably most of the girls are not big Geri fans. Like it's just not going to be a thing. I'm difficult to think of anybody but Lavoie and maybe Lil who would have seen enough Geri to
Okay. On that, I wish Lil did Geri and Octavia did Kylie and Chara did Cilla. And like I
don't know if Chara knows Cilla Black.
I don't care. She's good at everything.
Yeah.
Like Chara is somebody who like, you know, Jonah, I'm gonna give you credit for something. I totally really I always
get ready, Jonah.
I always think you're smart, but
it's
like
my turn to shine.
you little idiot. I take it all back.
Nope, don't take backs.
I am at this moment Rory Gilmore shouting, "I love you, you idiot!"
Why?
I rarely think somebody who just does the brief is funny because I often think just doing the brief bugs me. I was somebody who would like, and it's because of who I am. Like I was proud of getting a C on a paper if I believed in the paper, even if it was off topic. Like, you know, I was comfortable not hitting the mark for the judge, right? It's hard when you need praise and you like being right and you also like being liked. But as one of the smartest people I have ever listened to once said, it's nice to be liked, but it is better by far to get paid. And that would include shitloads of money. And so as Liz Phair once said, Charity has decided to come into this and say, I'm just going to do what Rue says. I'm not going to bother with artifice. I'm not going to bother with trying to give you who I am, because who I am is going to come out in the confessional. Who I am is going to come out in the workroom. Who I am is going to come out in my performance. But if Rue says do this, I'm just going to do it and I don't care. And Jonah, when she did it for Snatch Game, it made me so fucking mad. But when she did it again for Kylie, and I swear to God, things Rue told her to do in the workroom were things Rue dinged her for on stage. And
That's her favorite.
I was like, I'm going to throw tomatoes at this lady. And
ooh, I love that.
Seriously, Charity has proven why if you grew up on the Drag Race Reddit and you really understand the spreadsheet metrics, Jonah, you are really right. You can just be talented to victory on this show. I can't believe it, but it's possible.
One, thank you. Number two, I'm waiting for the day for Rue to tell someone to do something, and they do really badly, and she gets put on the bottom, and they'll be like, "No, why would you think to do that?" And they go, because they can't say Rue told me to do it. Because I'll get in trouble.
No, I want the girl. Let's take it a step further. I want the girl who's like, because you told me to.
This was your.
I want the girl
what
who's
the fuck
like,
now?
roll the tape. Roll the tape.
Trinity's drag
Roll the
daughter,
tape.
Midge Mattel, shows up, and Midge is ready to throw fists. And Midge is like, "Listen, my drag mama never liked you in the first place."
But what I really
Good
love
TV.
about Chara, and I even especially find so fascinating about her arc as a character on the show, is that after that first episode, I think people were kind of doubting her talents a little bit and thinking she might have been a first out. It's how the show's been like making her seem and come across, but she's kind of slowly proven herself week after week of like, she's pretty good at these challenges.
Truly,
she hears critique, she knows what to do. I think she can sometimes get a little nervous, but we all get a little nervous. She's on the biggest reality competition show of her life currently at this point. I imagine she probably is nervous because she doesn't want to mess it up. She has this dream to win. And it's really kind of special and amazing just how much you just see her get a little bit more comfortable doing things, just kind of get a little bit better. And yeah, she's pretty talented. It's kind of pretty amazing to see on the show. I
want to say you called it broadcast one. You really did.
Yeah.
It's so like endearing how like the show wants to treat her, but she's just doing much better than the show kind of wants her to do, and it's like
it's Jinxian almost.
I was just gonna say a name that I enjoy. Maybe other people here might not be as big a fan as I am.
You say Crystal Method, I'm gonna sweep everything off this goddamn
It's a little bit of Crystal Methods.
I can't deal with you.
But it's very similar. Crystal had a little bit of a rocky
Notice
start.
how I completely understand. She might not be my thing, but you're totally right.
Crystal had
Have older boyfriend pull him out.
Crystal Method had a interesting character arc as she went through the show, where she stumbled a little bit to beginning, but then once she was able to find her footing, she was just nailing everything up until her win, and she was only in the bottom because she kind of had to be able. And at that point, they were protecting a certain someone from the bottom who should have been in the bottom of that episode. But that's beside the point.
Andrew, I just want you to know that at no point did Crystal Method ever know who Elle DeBarge was.
No,
never.
But which they talked about it because Crystal Method, and that's why she's even partly in my. She was the guest. She was the guest on Give It to Me Straight. Literally, Maddie Morphs has brought up. They probably paid a lot more money for that song than literally almost not only lip sync songs, but for any other competitor,
anyone else.
They used that song a lot. They made sure to get the money's worth, but that song is probably worth a lot of money.
Can you feel the rhythm of the night?
I don't know. I sort of that's one I have to wonder about. Yeah, no, Chara for me was when she was my bottom two when the show started, and it was such a loving, like, they're all good, so somebody's got to be, if I have to rank them, somebody's got to be at the bottom. And I kind of said I feel a little bad about it, but I said for a while, like, Chara will have to go, and I had one other one who's gone.
Chanel.
No, I was a little dubious about Chanel too. It might have been Zahira, honestly. But
wait, what's her name?
Zahira. After that, I was like, there's nobody who I will be like at all okay with going home. And this week, I distinctly remember being like, well, Chara's still here, so she can go. And I was like, no, she can't. She really actually is 100% great. I was sort of wrong. And that this is back to the point of like, there just are no good losers for this show. And by that, I mean the exact opposite as well. They're all great losers. Like, everybody is...
Every elimination hurts.
Yeah, every elimination hurts. Every girl is phenomenal. And I hope it stays this way. I really hope nobody goes home because of a founder that is so bad that it's just like, well, of course she had to go. She just sucked tonight. I hope everybody has an Activia moment where it's just like, it was down to wigs. And
truly.
Yeah, and, because what's so crazy is Lil notably did the worst in the Rusical. Obviously did not do the best and had such a good runway that it balanced out.
But then had a not First of all, I would not have done Time Warp.
I thought that was rude, but yeah.
Because number one, it looks like it's Lil's number.
Yes.
And then I thought Lil did nothing. I thought this was the Lil Give 'em Nothing challenge. I thought Octavia was having the splits across the stage of her life. And then it went to Lil.
I don't think Lil did nothing, but I did really feel Octavia's energy more. And that is also why I went on my insane rant about what went on this whole episode. Because again, it felt like RuPaul had a whole storyline designed around reminding you what this show is. And that Ru is not horrible. She is just the host of a game. So she can love you more than anything.
Lingo.
And will still appeal to the spirit of the show and send you home if you did the worst, which is a nebulous moving target metric of kind of horseshit. But yeah, I mean, like, when I add everything up, it's sort of difficult to think that Octavia did the worst this episode. Between her look, which wasn't bad, the wig was just bad. She did better in the Rusical, and I do think her lip sync was better. So in my mind, I'm like, I sort of don't understand how it wasn't Lil. But I think it is because Ru was playing the exact storyline for the audience of like, don't look at me like I'm the asshole. I send the girls home who I love more than anything. It's the show, it's the game that is the jerk. Whoever loses the game.
Lester Moonvester.
I think it was a for story purposes, I think Lil just has a little more story going on. I think Lil as a character, as an entertainer, is still, truthfully, I think she's the dark horse in the running for In Contention of the Crown. Nico and I were talking about it earlier. I still, at this point, do think it's going to either be Kyron or Lavoie. I think those are still the two people, but we have other contenders. And not to say that Octavia is a hard queen, not bad. I do think she wasn't doing the best in a lot of challenges, and I think they were a little more afraid to give someone like that another episode versus somebody who they still see as a contention for the crown.
And you know what? To that point, and this is so stupid, but Octavia got me to Activia, and then I'm thinking about the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis did those I eat poop yogurt commercials and then won her Oscar. So Octavia, love, you're on your way to your BAFTA. As far as I'm concerned.
UK versus the World 3.
Yeah, love, you've got this. She had such a beautiful heart. And like, when she said, I hope she gets knocked down a peg. Yeah, that was kind of catty and kind of shitty. But then when she was like, no, listen. Okay, as a person who shines real bright in every room to the point where people are like, can you just knock it the fuck off? I've had people be like, can you sing Happy Birthday a little less intense? And so like, I get it, but also I have gone up to people and been like, you're breathing like you need too much attention. Can you stop? And so like, I get that too, that she owned it and that she was like, we said this thing about you. And then Kyron was kind of like pressed about it and then handled it like handled it like a Sorkin character. There was this level of, I'm going to choose to learn from this, and I'm grateful you shared it with me. It made me turn around on everybody positively. I thought everybody involved in that exchange came off very well.
What I will say is, on your best day, when you like, because we've had a few days in the last couple months where like your life is going really well and you will share with me, and you're never like, I just can't believe how awesome I am. Like when work is going great and your workouts are going really well, you're like, yeah, everything's really good, I'm really happy. You're never like, I'm just the best. And Kyron, they did show specifically a couple moments where she is being cocky, and like I don't have any problem with that. But like the moments that they were showing were very much like, yeah, I am really good, and people should have that confidence. It's lovely, but a very real thing is like, that's getting a little annoying, and I would love to see a balancing moment, just because it's interesting in a competition, especially, to see someone level out. And that's what I got from Octavia. I don't think anybody was in the wrong, but I get where they were coming from, where this week it just got to a bit with Kyron where she was like really feeling herself.
That wig was Kelly Clarkson's My December. I have to go.
I think what it kind of comes down to is when it comes to Kyron's confidence, it comes from a very specific place. And they shared that story of where it came from specifically with Lavoie. And she even said, these girls don't know where it's from. I've talked to you about it. But I also understand where Octavia and Char were coming from, that it's coming across a little gloaty.
Yeah.
It is coming across kind of rubbing it in their face. And there's nothing wrong with Kyron wanting to be confident, wanting to own their talent. And as I said to Nico, I am picking and choosing who I'm okay with this happening to, because I adore Kyron as an entertainer, as a drag artist. I'm like, it's kind of funny how deluded they are.
And in his credit, I think that Madeline from season 3 of Dragula is like, she's the sexiest woman on the planet. Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
Yes.
Oh my God. But like, when I think about her behavior, it's not that far from Chanel from this season's. In fact, Chanel maybe comes off a lot better. And I was deeply critical of Chanel, and we really do pick and choose based on what moves our heart. And so I don't begrudge you your choices. I really think they are very fine.
Thank you. And I think what I really appreciate that Kyron even just noting in the moment is, I think I could phrase it a little differently. You can sing your own praises as much as you want, and we also should stop telling people you need to dim your light so you don't outshine me. And I think Octavia and Char kind of really wanted to make sure, like, no, we don't want to ask you to dim your light. Maybe just talk about how you're shining. Maybe like, can we be conscious of that?
Well, and everybody, this is a reality TV show. They were aired saying that, and everything is out there, but inside we all have those thoughts. Like, it's perfectly reasonable to look at somebody who's doing great and maybe being a little loud about it and being like, wouldn't hate to see them get a bit of a scare.
Ed Sheeran,
sir. We don't always voice that because we don't have a story producer being like, you need to talk to be on the show. So
KEVO is like, please stop calling me story producer so you can complain about Ed Sheeran on YouTube, please.
So, I mean, like, a lot of this is all part of the act. There is no story if somebody is not saying what their conflict is. And this was the most reasonable conflict there could possibly be. Somebody's doing great. You wouldn't hate to see them just get a little bit spooked. That is, not wishing that they would get kicked off the show, die, even like misstep, just get a little spook. And so all in all, like, very British, very polite. The Americans are really like, I'm hoping her heel breaks and she slips on the runway and dies.
Yeah, this video would last until the finale.
Yeah.
Like, this was squashed immediately. They talked about it like adults.
Yeah. So it's everybody's fine. We're good.
Andrew, I just want to give you VIP status. Like, I wish you had like a Kyron just like rolling across the bottom of the episode where your chime-ins were just like, I am obsessed.
You're gonna have to say Chiron for the rest of this season, otherwise I'm very confused.
I understand. No, I mean,
no, it's Chiron. Yeah,
I would not mind laying out Chiron. I think they are a beautiful human. Honestly, not to like. Every queen this season has something beautiful about them, has something very sexually attractive or emotionally attractive. This is one of like, I feel bad because we have gone on so long about just UK, but like, I don't know that there are a lot of seasons like this. Like,
no, there really are not.
I almost made a stupid joke that like, there's Final Fantasy 6, there's Final Fantasy 7, there's 8, there's 10. Or 9, depending on if you're a high or low fantasy person. And then, like, you've got 12 or 14 or 15. And that's kind of how Drag Race is. There's 5, there's 6, there's probably 9, and then there's 14 or 15, depending on who you are. I genuinely think this is, like, one of the most magical, special things. Like, as TK brought up earlier, my favorite, like, one of my 2 favorite albums of all time is Night of Hunters by Tori Amos. And for many people, it's an acquired taste. It's all classical music. It's this removed thing. I don't think enough people are going to give this credit as being one of the greatest seasons of Drag Race of all time, based on talent.
I don't think you're right about that, actually. I think this is so clearly a great season. This is like when you get Rue.
I only want to point out that if you go by the demographics, less than 1/10 of the people who watch Drag Race watch Drag Race
that's a different story.
They're missing out.
But I think among tastemaker fandom and core fandom, this will go down in history as one of the really great seasons.
I'm going to say something controversial and brave at the same time. This is better than UK2. This is better than UK2.
Yes. Also, Yuna is the
so.
greatest. Yuna is the greatest video game character of all time. I have literally modeled my personality on being a Yuna for like gay doms. I'm like Yuna of Finland. I'm Yuna of Xanarkand. Oh my god! I now understand everything.
You got there. Now, next week's episode is the makeover, and UK notoriously does some riggery, shenanigans, tomfoolery, rigor mortis in these episodes. Most makeover episodes are full of that because it's their chance to eliminate somebody that they want to eliminate because they can just say whatever they want, and at that point it's just subjective. However, UK is notorious for doing stunts like this. We shall see if they will continue the trend. I hope not, because I love the season.
Super interesting that they are doing a different game show.
Do you know why I kind of think it's necessary? Because
we talked about why it's necessary on this show. Like, we talked about how they should branch out and do other game shows.
I like that every series is going to possibly have its own. I think it might be time to retire Snatch Game even.
I agree.
And it might be time to do Rue Wants to Be a Millionaire. Yeah. And like have one-on-ones, quick, funny questions back and forth.
Weakest Snatch.
Weakest Snatch. I love that. Like, it's time to move to a different format. Wheel of Horrors. And like, that's the whole bit. And like, it's like one of the
why wouldn't it be Horchin?
Because they're not that punny on this.
Horchata?
It's called Snatch Game. Anyway.
So is 4chan.
Yeah, that's so obvious. Snatch Game. But like, I don't know. I am so excited. I could talk about this season of UK forever. I want to write songs for every one of these girls. By the way, not to be an asshole, but like, I don't ever want to get hit by a DMC in this very litigious era of garbage people. So what I've decided to do is I've decided to make sure that our show is protected. And as of this episode, we are using all original music. And for this episode, we have introduced, I was really genuinely moved by Charity's really fun Kylie Minogue impression. And so I wanted to do a little something to say thank you to Kylie Minogue for, in fact, writing really great bops using a 135 synth, preferably something in the Korg or Moog family. And I went ahead and I wrote something I called Fever on My Mind as a tribute to Kylie Minogue. It's been playing in the background all episode. And I just think Chara did a really great job this episode. And I was really excited to put together this song in tribute to Kylie Minogue, Charity, Rue, and Michelle, and all of the amazing queens of this show and the amazing kings of this show.
Props to all the girls and all the performers.
And props to NICO Action Music.
And props to NICO for this lovely, amazing, stellar background music that we're currently listening to, that you can listen to more and many more hits at NICO Action Music.
I do agree with all of that, and I do want to add real quick that actually, if you do think about all of if you even go back, like, and I don't want to like make Jonah feel bad because some of these songs were like 15 years before he was born, but like if you go back to Kylie Minogue's earliest hits, like Lucky in Love, I should be so lucky, 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 I should be so lucky in love. Like, literally, there's no words. The Locomotion. She fucking covered The Locomotion.
Yeah.
Guys, Kylie is a genius, but altogether, there are as many words on a Kylie Minogue record as there are in a Dr. Seuss book. That's 127 if you're Cat in the Hat. So
that just makes her more of a genius, is all.
But yeah, legitimately, as somebody who actually has seen episodes of Neighbors with Kylie Minogue, hey, what's up? I just do want to say this is a great episode. I'm going to force us to Down Under.
Well, I was
So
gonna say, talk about one star from the Oceanic region to many more currently going to be that we're going to want to talk about for this week's episode.
it's tough. I genuinely thought that the the Bad Sandys had the worst song. I thought the production on that song was bad, and like and I've made jokes on this show all the time about Tom of Finland, and like, you know, one of the things I do want to say is like, it is so easy to like be like, you're dumb, I'm gonna step on you with my leather boot, and like claim you're dominant. When people just put on like a leather vest and go, I'm dumb. When you just wear black and say you're a bad Sandy, it doesn't really work for me. I had a humongous break from the judges with this. I genuinely thought the Good Sandys had the far better performances, the far better cohesiveness. I thought that the Good Sandys really represented what I look for in a Drag Race performance, and I did not understand where the judging was coming from on this episode.
I also the Good Sandy song felt like a Sandy in Grease song. It felt like a Grease song, period. And then the Bad Sandy song was a rockabilly song that doesn't happen in Grease at all. It either should have been Summer Lovin', which Sandy isn't in, but it's all the T-Birds, which is what Sandy becomes at the end. Or it should have been We Go Together somehow. Like it's tough to do.
Brian Setzer for no reason.
Yeah, it was really like, it was kind of pop punk too. Like, it's just not anything that is part of Grease. And so it was essentially like, just kind of look maybe like she did at the end of the movie. And there was a whole...
Though, to be fair, I feel like this costuming is a little more departure from what you would think of Sandy. Like, if you took away the Good Sandys, I might not immediately get this is supposed to be a Sandra Dee.
Yes,
but if
I agree with that
Sandys,
too.
I do.
Keita Brunson would wear it on Abbott Elementary, so I get your point.
I mean, like it should have been a long skirt with, you know, and with the hair pulled back. The hair is tough to do because the whole point is she's so mousy. Like, you can't really do drag hair with that.
With that high pony.
It would have to be a real high pony, yeah.
Which Olivia has.
What's her name? Who had the Christian lines?
Max Drag Queen.
Thank you. Had it best. That was as close as you were ever going to get. I agree. I agree with NICO. I didn't agree with the judges. And I felt really kind of disconnected. Yeah, I don't know. This also just didn't feel like the right way to pay tribute to Olivia Newton. I might have done Sandy and Physical. If you have to do two of her biggest things that people are going to know, I probably wouldn't have done two parts of Grease, especially because the Bad Sandy is one song at the very end of the thing, and you have no idea how her character has changed. It's also really fucked up that she changes her entire personality for a man. Whatever. But to do Physical and Sandy could have been something.
And here I am, chaotic, saying they should have done Xanadu.
Actually, I completely fucking agree. They should have done Xanadu, and they should have made him do roller skates because they already did. Beat, 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 beat.
I was gonna say,
beat, beat.
My mom was beaming against this one, saying how much you enjoyed the Good Sandys one, and I was like, well, is it beep 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 BMX bitches? I don't think so.
No, it sure the fuck is not.
I think we've heard around that how much we dislike that song. We've heard around like, how often do we quote that? How often do we just go beep beep beep?
No, I really didn't like it watching the performance, and then by the time we got to covering it for the show, I was like, this is brilliant and one of the greatest things Drag Race has ever done.
It's like definitely faggot out of a bus. It started like a bad thing, but now we're really
we love it. We should absolutely be putting the queens on wheels more often. That's just fun. That's just funny.
Like, use some like mobility scooters.
Well,
like
yes, rascals. Yeah,
segways.
If I can. Then that would force Rue to think about the opportunity to include like disabled
queens. Yeah, we can't do
and
that.
Rue would be like, I'm sorry, but you don't look tall enough in your wheelchair tonight. And like,
No, we already know.
Maybe
she
if you
loves
could
things-
turn it into a heel chair.
We already know that she loves things with wheels because she's all about train pride.
Choo choo, motherfucker. Yeah, no, I didn't love this challenge. I will say, the chemistry with the girls was much better this episode. The episode came together a lot better. And I'm now more inclined to sort of put a lot of that on editing and production from last episode. Mostly because those are anonymous people and I can blame them, and I don't ever want to give the girls a hard time where possible.
It's also really hard when they're up against UK6, not even to compare the seasons, just the cast chemistry where UK6 out of the gate swinging.
Yeah.
They have this amazing chemistry, whether it's good, whether it's, friction, whatever it looks like. We're like, oh, we're on board. Here, it felt a little, maybe a cultural difference of how direct our oceanic friends tend to be, a little more blunt. It might have been a little bit different, and I think that either I agree with you. I do think maybe it was the editing, maybe something they were just a little off that first episode. But this episode, even still, when everybody's still there, I think there was a little bit better. I agree that the chemistry felt a little bit more natural, a little bit better.
Well,
And
speaking of better and natural, Queen Kong, somebody who I have given my heart to in Down Under, just came off like an angry, hard person in Global. Came off like she was representing a show that was treated with disrespect. And as somebody whose favorite show is Down Under, I get that. But like, there was more class and pleasantness in this one episode of Queen than there was in the entirety of the run of Global.
She was a delight here.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know when. Well, no, I guess this has to have been filmed after Global. Global was filmed 5 years ago. Not actually that long ago.
Global was filmed during the Obama administration.
Oh
That's
my God,
the
Obama
one.
made Alyssa win.
Oh my God, thanks Obama. Also, Andrew calling me Alyssa earlier. Great move. Great way to get me to love you. Agreed. Yes, I am Alyssa. So,
I have to wonder if Queen, I mean, I don't know. I have to wonder about Queen's attitude here. She maybe knew that she was going to have a rough run on Global.
I
think it all.
I think here, because she was brought as a guest, she's choreographing.
Yeah, that's I do tend to think it's just
judge.
kind of just the circumstance.
Girl, you sleeping with a judge.
Is your blood sugar low?
But yeah, it was nice to see a queen that felt more like the one that I always rooted for and was rooting for the first half of Global. I still love her,
I don't
of
root for
course.
Vibe.
Well, you came around to Vibe. You came around.
I don't root for Vibe. I know.
It's been 2 episodes. What's going on?
Sometimes Vibe comes on the screen and Vibe is like, hey, I'm Vibe, and you might not know this, but I'm like actually the most talented, famous drag queen in all of the oceanic region. And okay, look, you can listen.
Oh,
I get to make
Arnar. I don't know what that was.
Arnar.
listen. I get to make faces of the two of you still having hair, so you guys can make as many faces as you want at my bad Australian accent. At least I'm out here doing the thing. I'm Trixie Mattel, and my bad Rue impression is just proof that I'm talented. And like, I think Vibe is very talented. Truly, Vibe is a 12-string guitar, but like, I sometimes feel like when you play a 12-string guitar on a song that sounds more beautiful on a 6-string, it can be more than fits in the frame. And Vibe's presence, her confidence, the way she thinks she's better than every single fucking girl here, even if she wins, I can't root for her because it kind of feels like she dogs the other girls. And I'm sorry, but America won't root for you, Dorothy.
Okay, can I just bring something up because Andrew brought up Minnie Cooper, and I think Minnie Cooper, 1, is a Australian icon. 2, please bring her back because she truly was one of the funniest things I have ever seen. Saying, "No, apologize to me." Literally saying, I don't mind that Paloma does drag. I just hate that she gets paid for it.
Oh my god.
Listen, Minnie made the season, and I won't hear anything else. I won't change my mind specifically on that. I get it. I personally, I'm vibing with Vibe maybe a little bit more right now. I thought she really had a really great night. I thought she even kind of said, I'm stacking a little bit of choreo to do a bit, and I hope that it lands. And I think her doing a lot of the stuff with the cigarettes was really funny. So I respect it. I do have to note, as an overall thing, I have to imagine something with the dossier was a little bit different about what they told them. Because a couple of people had sheer, but enough people didn't have sheer that I have to wonder if they told them something slightly different. And so some people lucked into sheer. A little bit weird.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, this is a really good example.
Gorgeous. Stunning.
I did think this was great. I thought it was a bummer that they came down so hard on her, especially because
Patty Carey.
I thought the garment was cool. The other part, yes. But I mean, Lazy Susan. Who said it? Mandy. The critique is 100% correct. That is not sheer. That is see-through plastic.
My favorite color, clear.
Clear.
It is the coolest, smartest thing.
100%.
No.
100%. So cool. I'm obsessed with it. It is not sheer at all. Like, it doesn't meet the prompt, which is I don't care. I think it's.
I literally said I would always rather miss the prompt to be really cool. So I get where.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad instinct.
Maybe the dossier says something like see-through.
Yeah, that's exactly the word I was about to use. I don't think, Nico, I don't think it's a bad instinct to say fuck the prompt if I have an idea that is close and I think is so cool. I still think you can get knocked down for it and go home, but I do think that's the correct instinct. But as Jonah said, a bunch of people were so notably off when sheer is such an easy thing to get that I think it is a reasonable question to wonder if what they received to prepare was something really different. I had another thing. Oh, Vibe. It really feels like Vibe is getting the main character edit for the season, which speaks to both of the things that you guys are talking about. I found myself vibing with Vibe this episode and realized partway through that it was because of the edit, and it's really because the show is treating her like the authority. And then I kind of had the NICO feeling of like, that's totally fine, and she's doing great, so she might be the good person to anchor the show around, but then I'll spend my energy elsewhere because I know she's good, and I always am going to root for somebody who needs that rooting for. It's the rare Bianca that I'll sit around and hype up when they absolutely don't need my hype. So I get where you're coming from 100%. I do think that as of the end of this episode, Lazy Susan is coming to balance that out, and I'll be very interested to see if the production and the editing follows that. But Susan has the
her government name,
Susan, her government name, yes, has the exact amount of confidence. She just came in like a wrecking ball. She's a little bit of a wait. What is Cynthia? What does Jocelyn Fox say?
Andrew quoted earlier, the dark horse. The black horse.
But she says black horse. Yeah.
She says black horse.
Yes, yeah.
I just want to say I feel bad because I'm going to say something that's really ugly, but like everyone's going to make fun of me for it. But like, if you want to know the real way to get me to love a reality show contestant, they should just be unnecessarily attractive and slightly less talented. But Lazy Susan is like attractive like a normal human and extraordinarily talented.
Yeah.
And
I'm also realizing this now. I think Lazy Susan could be one of your cousins.
I see that as well. And I also think that Lazy Susan looks like a human version of a Rugrat. And I am incredibly positive on that as somebody who...
Oh, no, that outfit doesn't help.
That's the problem. As somebody who looks like the human version of a Recess character, I am fine with that. And so...
You could also be Tommy grown up.
You look like the adult version of a Recess character or a Rugrat. Like that time that they did that spread in Entertainment Weekly for the reunion of Daria, and they drew them older.
Yeah.
This looks like an
Oh my God, I'm
adult
Tommy Pickles
stuffed
with Finland.
into a Rugrats outfit, and that's not the same vibe, pun intended.
But speaking of vibe, I love that she kind of clocked
Nice.
that Vibe is recognizing that Lazy Susan's kind of the biggest threat in the competition, and part of that is Lazy Susan's brain seems to be I think we've seen similar people in US, but I don't think we've seen this kind of weirdness and a little bit more quirkiness in Down Under. I actually think the closest person to somebody doing really something different is current season 6 Dragula star Yuri, who was on season 2 of Down Under.
Shut up!
Yeah, she's in season 6 of Dragula. She's one of the people to cross over. And I see a couple of people talking about just make her keep bouncing between series. I think it'd be funny. Have her keep going.
Over.
You want to camp on a Kiki next?
I would love to say something very nice. Not that I don't already. I think I really kind of felt for Olivia this episode. I think there's a moment that some people have where she kind of even said it when she was crying. I'm doing my best, but that doesn't seem to be enough. And I think that could be really discouraging. I hope that if she ever does see this, I hope she knows that she's extremely talented. She's extremely beautiful. And
we loved her on Lazy Town.
We did love you on Lazy Town. And that the show is hard, and sometimes realizing when you get that the show is hard can be rough. I think she had a really human moment of like, oh, do I not have what it takes? And I hope that doesn't discourage her from ever trying to even go farther, whether it's the show, whether it's whatever. I really hope she does feel proud. I know it sucks, but truly you are like a stunning entertainer.
Unless your name is Sherry or Sharon, if you qualified, you deserve to be here.
Pork
This is
chops
also-
so far.
This is really the flip side of what went on UK this week, because this challenge sucked, and there was not really a chance for people to shine. And then she maybe technically, I think this look is so good, and I think maybe she technically missed the prompt, but I thought it was so notable how good she looked. And this is just, when we look at the note that Octavia got to go out on, with the challenge being so good and everybody doing well, everybody's runways being great to the point where it was just wigs that were getting you in trouble, and to be told by RuPaul, I just love you, I just think you're so great. For this girl who did not do bad in a bad challenge, who gave a great look, who had nothing but promise, to not get that same exit is only unfortunate. You know, you can't do it every time, obviously. RuPaul can't stop Michelle can't stop the show every time and tell everybody how much they love them.
No, she's driven the Garden State Parkway. She can stop anywhere she would like, and everybody is just going to be fucking fine with it because AAA can only go on certain highways.
Also,
I mean, I would love to see it. I would love if the show would do it more, but it's really unfortunate that somebody like Olivia, who kind of maybe needed to hear that, never got to, when it's still just as true for her. Octavia left not because she was bad at all, just because of the way the game works, and we saw what an amazing queen she was. The same thing happened for Olivia, but nobody spent the entire show rigging everything to be able to say that and show that. She just had to go, and it's a bummer because you would love to see that.
I did notice a couple of things with this critiquing, that, well, one, they're also blocked very weird. I don't know if it's just because the Down Under stage is much smaller, but I'm not sure why they're this close. They're normally much farther apart when they block them for this. It's a little, as somebody who takes screenshots and watches enough of the show, it is jarring.
It's film blocking for a TV screen, and it doesn't look right at all.
This stage feels tiny too.
Two, Michelle this week said, bring back my girls. I'll have to, I want to triple check on episode 1, but but I do notice a lot of the critiques are a lot more positive. Or not even positive, nicer. It feels like much better way to critique people, and I'm noticing this on UK, and I'm noticing it here as well. I wonder if they're doing this shift of how they're approaching critiques as opposed to kind of saying mean things. And there's sometimes you can say, you know, funny, rotted things when they're not there or whatever. But I feel like they're trying to be a little more, this is how we make you better. This is how, like, hey, if you want to win this, you know, listen to these critiques. And so I do think she got good critiques in the sense of like they were trying to uplift her. I think Queen like took a special moment to talk about like her heritage, what she represents, and I think that part of it was special.
That almost felt like a Canada moment because so few seasons get returning queens other than Canada.
Also, I if you had told me that Lucina would win 2 lip syncs, I don't know if I would have believed you at the beginning of the season. But goddamn, am I entertained by this queen? And holy moly, does she have one of the most beautiful faces in drag I've ever seen.
At 6'1", I sometimes am like, okay, look, tall is tall. And then, like, you know, they're like, she's 6'5" or 6'6". And I'm like, great. But, like, there is something that sometimes happens where, like, as somebody who has a big vocal range, I have occasionally been told, okay, but you know what? Is the song good if you don't belt? Like, I need Lucina to do something other than be one of a kind. Something happened this episode that I'm really excited to kind of maybe push the show toward the end of our episode on. But in UK, they were all asked to be different women than the same woman for the runway. Then on Down Under, they were all asked to be the same woman for the performance and different women on the runway. Tori, Mama, I'm a bake you a hat. I'm a bake you a hat.
One, we miss you.
Love you.
We love you.
Two,
We miss you.
They did meant either in drag or out of drag. She's 6'4", 6'5".
It's no, but it's like watching. It's like watching
Irene and Lux with the wig.
What's the Chevy Chase movie? He's 6'3", 6'6" with the afro.
Chevy Chase movie.
Did Chevy Chase in Nell?
What?
Shut
it down.
What's the one where he's putting flowers in their eyes?
Anyway, so
I'm not making this up. This is real.
You're done for the rest of the episode.
So evidently, Chevy Chase was in Midsommar. Guys, check it out.
Apparently.
But
Very
she's a
different
6'5" Timu. Okay. So I've come to realize that one of the things is every episode of Drag Race, not every, but enough of them, ask the girls to all do something the same and all do something very different. So there's a compare them collectively and compare them separately. And I think this episode of Down Under allowed Lucina to benefit from she is so unique. And yet in UK, Octavia was kind of sent home for being so unique when everybody else has a certain kind of like level, color, shine, polish. I think this was one of the best weeks for Drag Race in our coverage yet. We really had a great time with everything, even if the episodes weren't perfect. The only thing that could have made this better was if none other than Tori was here with us. But I would love to get everybody's final thoughts before we do some sign-offs.
Shout out to Mandy for talking about non-monogamous open relationships. I love that conversation. I love that she talked about it. And
we love you, Miranda Bailey.
I thought that was dope. And shout out to Nikita for being that girl and that sister for when Olivia was upset, saying like, there's so many queens back home who would feel like, well, why did she get the spot? Why wasn't it me? And her being like, they're not here. They're not here.
Shout out to Nikita for being the star of my OnlyFans dreams, whatever.
Yeah, Joni, you stole my my final thought. I was actually really shocked. It's been this long, and I don't think since Derek Barry tainted the waters by talking about his stupid throuple, we've had enough conversations about non-monogamous relationships on this show. But Mandy really put it very well and talked about like one of the most important things, the thing that I do the absolute most, which is be like, sometimes I just send him to the other guy.
You're like, don't touch me. No,
yeah,
go.
Not into it. That is a big reason why I believe in non-monogamy, because I desperately need 8 to 10 hours a day alone, sometimes up to 2 weeks, which is currently what I have, and it's been glorious. And I know my spouse is safe and taken care of with people who love them, and I desperately would just like to be the fuck alone. So, polyamory.
You guys have no idea how much he makes room for me to be on top of him.
Yeah, well, you know, when you love people, you love them, but also you maybe just want to go be in a cabin in the woods by yourself and not speak to anybody. And it actually, yeah. Anyway, so Mandy, thanks for representing the tribe. You're very cool, and yeah, man, UK6 is just so good. I could rant forever on that, but Kevo, what are your final thoughts?
I feel bad for Olivia because I liked her a lot. It's one of those many girls I would have certainly cut first. And so now I'm nervous because now I don't know how many queens I love for Down Under. And that's always troubling when ones you love get cut too early. You don't want to end up with a lot of ones you don't for the ending. But we'll see. And yeah, also loving UK. I guess we only have a couple of weeks left, and then we're going right into Canada. So
in 2 weeks, we will have 3 episodes to cover.
And hopefully Tori will definitely be back by that point, because it's going to take a lot for us, and we want all of you to come back as well. Definitely hit us up in the comments and let us know what you thought of this week. And yeah.
So, you know, if I'm walking away with a big thing here, it's that we are getting closer to a good idea for a Rusical. The Rue-View is a really good idea. There have been great Rusicals with bad ideas. I will admit that I walk around going, once you get to know me, you really get to know me. Holy guacamole. Like, I genuinely thought the Rosemary's that was a great Rusical, and I'm still into those songs. I'm still having a great time. This has been a good year for Rusicals after I thought the last few years were garbage. Honestly, I have been very critical, very publicly on this channel, and I agree. Tori, hashtag Lavoie Supremacy. That is that Lavoie Supremacy. For those who are like Princess fans. Speaking of musicals, but
here I was gonna say every now and then I have to go, welcome aboard Glamazonian Airways.
That's a bad one too. But one of the big things that what?
I said S tier.
So I just want to say I had a great time, I had a great episode, and I can't wait to do more. Jonah, talk to me. Where can everybody find you, and who was your favorite lady out of all of them? Because you got your 8 girls in UK and your 2 girls in Down Under. Where can we find you, and who was your number 1 out of the 10?
Oh, goodness gracious. Goodness gracious me, oh my. You can follow me places at Peak Jonah. That's at pretty much any social that you can search for that at. And this week, I'm a delusional jammer. It's Marmalade. Marmalade, I love you, and I want to be your friend.
I love that. I love Marmalade. I think she's so talented. I can't wait to see where she goes in her career. Not just on this show, but it would not shock me to see West End musical starring Marmalade in 5 years.
Honestly, I think at this point she could be making gowns for Rue. Rue's obsessed with her runways, and I think that's where...
Yeah, that's where she's gonna go. Her favorite Rusical... Tori, stop it. Tori, my favorite Rusical are the ones that you stage manage. So you just put that in your beautiful hat. But speaking of beautiful hats, Kevo, you are sitting there.
Nice.
You are sitting there wearing that cap, looking so fucking handsome. It's our anniversary. I love being married to you. I love being your best friend, and genuinely, I like spending time with you. You're just a cool dude, and I would love to know whether it was a Sandy, or any of the ladies on Top of the Pops. Who was your Top of the Tops? And where can we find you?
Yeah, 13 years ago right now, I think we were about half an hour away from the fireworks show.
I was drunk as shit already.
Oh yeah. God, I wish I drank back then. Kids, start drinking early. Do substances. That's my message for this week. No, don't really. Not the kids.
No.
I mean,
Put
people
that
who
away.
appropriately can drink. But, and on a similarly inappropriate note, I guess, Chera and Max Drag Queen, hit me up if you guys, want to go out on a date. Those are definitely my top queens or bottom queens currently. And you can check me out on the socials at KEVO Really if you are also a bottom queen. That's KEVO Really, KEVOREALLY.
Well, and from bottom queens to top kings, TK, I would love to know which was ya lady, and where can everybody find ya?
I am gonna give it to an Aussie queen this week because the UK queens just are so
We get them enough
crushing it.
flowers.
Yeah, they don't need it. Lazy Susan, man. The bravery to get on AliExpress and order a holographic fan. I think about it every day, and I never do it because I'm just a fucking loser. But you made it work. And I want to shout out Sasha Colby for saying I'm an Amazon queen, and reminding everybody that you absolutely can do that. You can buy the H&M thing. You just have to customize it, stone it yourself.
Yeah.
Get stoned, as Kevin would say.
Yeah. So
get crunk, as Alvin Hannigan would say.
Don't fear a concept that takes you to cheap shenanigans. Just make it your own. You can find me at TK Elemental. Nico, who's your girl?
I'm gonna have to give it to Lavoie or Lazy Susan. And I just wanted to say, take what TK said, and I want to take it a little bit further. Get crunk. Just be a big dumb himbo, and find a nice drag queen like Yzma, and just love it and serve her. I'm kidding, but if I had one, it would be Luxurious Temptation because mama. But end of the day, I had a great time this episode. I had a great time with these three incredible humans and the bonus humans in the chat. Of course, Tori, hey, anytime. That's our fam.
That's Tori with an eye.
That's Tori with an eye, right? And Andrew, way to represent awesome fandom. But I do just want to say it's been a great time to be a fan of not just Drag Race, but to be a fan of these performers who have really been out there and being incredible these last couple of days, just providing support, love, and commiseration to fans. But beyond that, there's a couple of things we'd like to ask you guys to do. Number one, if you guys wouldn't mind commenting and subscribing, those are three things that it turns out really help our algorithm. And it turns out Mr. Gorhythm, Albert, as it were, is kind of in charge of everything. So if you guys wouldn't mind liking, commenting, and subscribing, we'd appreciate it. But three things you guys might do for us, for you. Number one, please stay safe. It's a crazy world out there. But number two, be brave, because it might be crazy, but who you are is so special. Number three, evolve daily. Who you were yesterday is incredible. Who you are today, we love it. But who you are tomorrow, that's the dream. That's what we're here to see. And we cannot wait to support you then. So until then, stay safe and we will see ya.